Awesome new technologies for HR is a fixture of HR tech, where after reviewing dozens and dozens of new solutions over the summer, we select and showcase the most important and innovative new technologies that have been developed over the last year. Each of our presenting companies has about 10 minutes to showcase their latest awesome innovation for you, and it's a fast-moving and fun session. And hopefully, by the end of the hour, you'll agree each one is indeed awesome. You're going to love this session. It's my pleasure to please welcome from Capacity, David Karandish. David, come on out. All right, killer. I want that vest and I want those pants, so let's make that happen.
These are my Vegas pants. Hi, I'm David Karandish, CEO and co-founder of Capacity. Thank you all for spending your time here to hear what we're up to. This is the last session before the bar, so I'm going to try to make this go as quickly as we can. I've got 3 announcements we're going to announce today. The first announcement is that we recently completed our Series B round. We raised $13 million, all entirely from individuals without going through any major funds. Pretty exciting. Second big announcement since this time last year is we did a big rebrand. You used to know us as Jane.ai. We've since rebranded to Capacity. We did that for 2 reasons. Number 1, we want to highlight the Capacity platform over the bot. And then number 2, we want to give our clients the ability to white label the bot, so no more mandatory female bot names. Got a few yays on that. But the third thing I want to announce today, maybe most important, is that we are launching a new product. We're going to get the first sneak peek of what that product looks like right here at HR Tech. Before we jump into that, let's provide a little context. The reason I started Capacity 2.5 years ago is that I want to see teams do their best work. We believe in the dignity of great work and the opportunity to see people shine when they're not bogged down with the tasks they don't like. So companies turn to Capacity for self-service automation, the ability to automate your way through all of those tasks that we don't love doing. Now, David, that begs a question, what needs to be automated? We found 5 key sources in your organization that need to be automated. 3 that I'll call the input sources, and 2 that I'll call the output sources. We'll go ahead and get started. The first are your apps. We've got apps on top of apps on top of apps. We've got apps to keep track of our apps. So many apps that we use, we're never going to be experts at all of them. Second one is our documents, your handbook, your training material, your onboarding guides. We actually work with a client that has a 267-page onboarding guide. A small Amazonian forest gets cut down every year. Every time someone gets hired at this organization, we're helping them fix that. Next step is your tacit knowledge, the knowledge of your team that's floating around throughout the rest of the org. Now, when these 3 areas are not automated, you end up with a big pain in the you-know-what on the next 2 areas. The first is what we would refer to as your tickets or your informal help desk. It might be the formal tickets you get to your IT team or HR team. It might be the informal emails that people are asking each other to do things on. And then lastly, your processes. Anytime you're coordinating between multiple people to go to get something done, these are ripe for automation. And if you don't automate the first 3, the last 2 are going to be a huge mess. So what is the Capacity Automation Suite? At a very high level, what we do is we go into each of these 5 areas and we automate with a suite of software that helps you do your best work. First part of that platform is our enterprise search. This is where we can connect to over 50 different apps to give you instant access to the information you need. We're doing this with folks like EXL, who has over 30,000 employees that are using Capacity to help integrate with their time and attendance system. Next up are your documents. Think about all that information that lives in your sales prospectus and your training guides. We're doing work with folks like AllianceBernstein, one of the largest asset managers in the world, to help automate the access to the documents that they have. We have a knowledge base to not only track the what, but also the who, for who knows what in your organization. If we have more time, I would show a demo of that. We can follow up with that offline. Our help desk is designed not to answer tickets, but to deflect tickets from ever starting in the first place. We're doing that with Newell. Can I get an amen on that, by the way? We're doing that with Newell Brands in their HR service center today, parent company of Rubbermaid. And then lastly, but not least, workflows. Now, we've had a lot of people talk about workflows this week. We have a different view of workflows. Our view of workflows is when you're coordinating between multiple people and multiple processes over time, that's when you need a true workflow solution and not just a simple survey. Now, as I mentioned, we're doing this with a wide variety of the best brands in the world. Some of the most recognized companies are using Capacity to help do their best work. But being a St. Louis boy, born and bred, I come from the show me state. So rather than getting up here and talking about it, let's actually show this platform in action. Now, what we're seeing here is a screenshot of our Capacity Workflow Manager. And here you can see that we've got the intern onboarding workflow all mapped out. Collecting user information, sending offer letters, sending out the team member handbook. You can mouse over any of the individual steps to see how long each step takes. This particular task took about an hour to complete from the previous task. On average, it takes 2 hours, but you can also see how long it took from the beginning of the workflow to go accomplish. Now, if we close that screen out, we can go back to the workflow instance screen, where when we click and see where everyone is at on an individual workflow. So Stacy and Gina are just getting started. Amy's pretty far along, but Danny's blocked. We could go click in and see all the information for why he's stuck at that particular stage of that process. And again, we map this out for an onboarding workflow, but you can apply this to whatever workflow you want. Onboarding a client, doing change management, onboarding a new company from an acquisition standpoint, you name it. Now, if we click on the full-time employee onboarding, what you're going to see here is that workflow builder, but we recognize something. We recognize that in a workflow, you are going to have sub-processes that aren't necessarily managed by HR. They might be managed by IT or another part of the org. So you can go up to the workflow builder, select a task, go in and drag in your new workflow task, and instead of assigning that to someone in HR, that workflow task can be assigned out to Alan on the IT team. Now, you don't want Jenny setting up laptops any more than you want Alan talking with people. But Alan can go in to that workflow editor, he can add a new ticket, and create the workflow around setting up that laptop. Now, if he wants to add new steps in that embedded workflow, he can do that without Jenny having to go through and manage the individual details. All she cares about is that the workflow is complete. Now, when Alan goes and clicks to drag and drop and connect these systems together, he can see all the ticket details. If he goes over to the left, he can see where this inner workflow lives within the outer workflow itself. Now, he goes up to the upper right and he turns the workflow on. It's now available for his whole team. Now, if we go and we click on that particular workflow, we can see the team member that's applied to that area. Now, when we think about, if we go click forward, we think about where we're at in an individual workflow. A lot of times we want to see what tasks somebody has associated with completing. So we can go click the ticket details, and this will kick us over into our help desk. And again, part of the Capacity suite is that the app integrations, the document mining, the knowledge base, the help desk, and the workflows all work together. We've got our tickets on the left. We've got the information on the ticket on the right. You can set the priority. You can set the status. And in fact, because we've connected with over 50 different apps, every one of these tickets can have an embedded action inside. So in this case, we want to send the offer letter. We can go click check. Automatically flips the ticket over to resolved. And next thing you know, we can go back to that previous workflow, and the ticket is off to the races. Now, David, everyone's talking about AI and automation. You've done a great job of mapping out the workflow, mapping out the offline process into the individual digital steps. Where do we go from here? So if we click forward, We can show the workflow itself. Now you can see here, we've got all these different stages of onboarding. You can see the people who are assigned to that workflow, and you can see all the different tasks, including the Boolean logic for when you might send someone down one path or another. But since we've connected this workflow to the rest of the Capacity platform, instead of assigning each of these individual tasks to people, we can now assign those tasks directly to the Capacity bot. Capacity can schedule the email, send the meeting, integrate with the HRIS, connect to your CRM, connect to any of the major apps that you use. And with our dev platform, if you've got a proprietary app, we can connect to that too. In summary, we're here to help your team do its best work. We're here to take all that company intelligence, make it accessible via chat, via workflows, and via a better experience. Thank you.